Recording started here. And welcome everyone to our session this afternoon on adding video to your Canvas course or to your online course through Canvas. This is video is a critical instructional medium in online courses because you don't meet face-to-face generally. And it's one of the most information-rich means of conveying instruction that there is. There's that old saying about a picture in 1,000 words, right? Everybody's heard that one. Well, here's a new one for you. How many words are 30 pictures a second worth? That's typically what a video is. 30 pictures that run by so fast that your eye can't distinguish between them, so it appears to be smooth motion. And most videos are somewhere between 25 and 30 frames or pictures a second. So that's a heck of a lot of information in a very short period of time. Indeed, video is just about the most information-rich means of conveying information online that there is. So it's a critical component, really, of any online class. Not to say you can't teach an online class without using video. Many people have done that for many years. But I guarantee you that your course will benefit from the inclusion of video. Your students will enjoy the inclusion of video and will appreciate it. Even if it's something as simple as a talking head video of you saying, "Hi, welcome to the course. I'm your instructor. My name is so-and-so. I'm really a person and not some disembodied robot out here in the ether that is putting information online for you and so on. I'm a real human being and I care about whether you succeed in this course or not." That sort of statement alone is hugely important in an online course because students, in the absence of something like that, the students tend to feel an intense sense of psychological isolation in online courses. And this is probably the single biggest factor driving the higher rates of attrition that you do typically see in online courses versus face-to-face courses. We may never be able to completely eliminate that differential, but we can sure minimize it by humanizing our courses, which basically means putting yourself in there as a real human being that the students can bond with and build a rapport with, just as you do when you meet with them face-to-face in the classroom. And video is a huge part of that. Video can also be incredibly useful instructionally. Whether you're teaching an online course or one in the classroom, you can record, you can find video on the web that is instructional in your subject matter. Much of it free, and some of it very high quality, a lot of it very high quality. And you can create your own video very easily to share with your students and show them, and not only by talking to them face-to-face like we're doing right now, but by recording instructional material, by recording your computer screen, by bringing something up on your computer screen and illustrating concepts in your field to your students, a process called screencasting, which produces videos that are equivalent to what the student would see if you were presenting to them in a classroom using your laptop and a projector that was throwing the image of your laptop screen up on the wall. Only your student, if you record that video and the audio that goes with it, your students can watch that at a time of their own choosing, on demand, we say, or asynchronously, and get a lot of the same, if not all, at least a lot of the same instructional benefit from it, without having had to be in that classroom at that time, or even online at that time. So video is a critical component of any online course. So what we're going to spend most of our time talking about today is how to find video that you can use, that you don't have to create, video that you can legally use without having to pay for it. And then we're going to talk about how, the nuts and bolts of how you can share that video with your students through Canvas in such a way that the students can go into their Canvas courses and watch that video at a time of their own choosing. All righty, so I've got a little outline here. Let's see what we're going to be doing. One of the wonderful things you can do with Zoom, of course, is to share your screen. You can share whatever you're seeing on your computer monitor with the people who are attending your meeting. And I'm going to do that right now. And I have mine set up so I can share my Zoom screens as well to make it easier to show you how to do things in Zoom. So I've got to bring over my outline from another monitor here and share it with you. You should be seeing my outline for this seminar right now. We've dealt with Roman numeral 1, hopefully, though I'll certainly take more questions on anything like that later on. We're first going to start talking about how to link video into your Canvas course so that your students can view it without having to go out and look for the video themselves. And in that process, we'll talk about where you can find video online that's already created, in some cases by world experts in your subject matter, that you can share with your students asynchronously through Canvas, so in such a way that your students can watch that video on their time schedule. Then we'll talk a little bit about creating your own video, though we do have other seminars that focus more specifically on that. But it's no secret to or I won't be giving away any secrets if I tell you what the primary focus of that part of the seminar will be, and that's Zoom. Any of you who have been holding Zoom meetings and recording those and then making the Zoom recordings available to your students later on have been creating your own videos already. And you've been creating both talking head or motion videos where you're speaking to your students, and you've been screencasting, as I'm doing right this second. I'm showing you my outline and talking about it, and I'm recording it using the recorder built into Zoom. So that's probably the single easiest way there is to create instructional video for your own students. Just record your Zoom meetings. And we'll talk a little more about that later. But let's start talking about where can you find video online to use, and how do you get it in, how do you get links to it into Canvas so your students can view it later. Well, to see that, I'm going to need to pull up Canvas. Let me be a little sensitive about that today in terms of how we get in there. Let me go ahead and log out. Okay, Canvas is a learning management system, basically a web server maintained or paid for by the State Chancellor's Office for all the California community colleges. We all have access to it. But everybody has their own little instance of Canvas, their own learning management system. Each college does. Well, actually at the district, the San Diego district, there's one Canvas system for all three colleges and continuing ed. They all share the same system. But Grossmont has their own, and Southwestern has their own, and so on. Our particular Canvas system can be accessed from any web browser, Chrome, Edge, Safari on the Mac, by going to the address line on the web browser, there where you find the web address or the URL or Uniform Resource Locator for a particular website, and typing in the letters SDCCD for San Diego Community College District, .instructure, which is a made-up name. It's the name of the company that creates Canvas, the learning management system, .com. So let me put that in the chat tool. Let's see, need to stop the share for a second to do that. Bring up chat. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, there it is. Looking straight at it, sorry. The chat tool, if you're looking for it, is in the Zoom menus at the bottom of your computer screen. If you move your mouse cursor over where you're seeing me, you'll see a menu pop up at the bottom of the screen. And in that menu is a little icon that's labeled chat. It looks like a little cartoon balloon like you saw with the X-Men when you were 12 years old. And the chat tool is a way to just share text messages during the course of the session. And if you click on that chat tool, you'll see a little window pop up that looks like this. This is our current chat. A number of people are in there already. One thing I would appreciate you doing, if you don't mind, is going to the chat tool and putting your name in there. And if you don't mind, your email address. That will allow me to have a roster for this meeting, and also will facilitate me getting back in touch with you if we have some unfinished business today. If you have a question, for instance, that I can't answer, I can get back in touch with you. So if you don't mind putting your name and or your email address in there, I'd appreciate it. All you have to do that is go to the bottom of the window where it says type message here, click on that, and type something in this box at the bottom of the chat window, and then press enter. I'm going to do that right now by sending to everyone the URL for Canvas. You can get back in there. It's also linked to the Online Learning Pathways website, to the district website, and to each of the college and continuing education websites as well. But by the time it takes you to find it there, you could have easily typed sdccd.instructure.com and pressed enter to go into it. And when you do that, you will end up here at the login screen for Canvas. You have a username and a password. Seems like you have those for everything these days. And it's at least this is one that's, at least your user ID here is the same as the one that you use when you log into your portal to get your grades and things like that, your district portal. It's your 10-digit PeopleSoft employee ID.
Dave?
Yes.
This is Margaret. Are you sharing your screen?
I am not.
Okay.
I am not. Thank you. All righty. I'll fix that real quick. I knew when you said that that's what had happened there. Now let me bring Canvas back up here. There we go. Here's your Canvas login screen. And at sdccd.instructure.com up here in the address line of the web browser. The again, your user ID is your 10-digit PeopleSoft ID. Your password is your initially set to your 8-digit birth date, month, day, year. As you see, that's always provided, or that information is always provided to you down here in this little block on the login page. So You just, my login ID and password are different because I was like the second person put into this system when it was brought up. But yours will be your PeopleSoft ID and your birth date. And then you just click the login button. Once you enter those, you just click the login button and you go to what's called your Canvas dashboard, which shows a colored rectangle, a tile is the term, that represents each of the courses that you're enrolled in on the Canvas system. You get shells, or we call these shells because they're empty containers to start with. Each of the shells shown here, or each of the shells that you see, represents a course, again, that you're enrolled in, either as a teacher or a student. The shells for the courses that you teach are automatically created and automatically provided to you. So you will be able to find them on the dashboard. And to enter one of those courses, you just click on it. And I'm going to find the one I have made here for adding video to your Canvas course. This is my little sandbox shell for this seminar. And I'm going to enter that just by clicking on the tile. Right off the bat, we've got some stuff here already that we're going to recreate today. So I am going to reset this shell. I forgot to do that before I started today. Trying to smooth my way over that. This is something you want to be very careful doing in Canvas. You want to make darn sure you're in the right course before you do this. And now we have a blank Canvas shell that looks very much like the ones you will receive. So, this is Canvas. It's a means of providing information to your students and of assessing their performance. We're going to be concentrating on adding one particular type of content today, video. But before we can add video to Canvas, we have to find that video to use. Certainly you can create your own video, or you can use video that you have purchased, in some cases at least. But more often than not, if you're not creating your video, you will be finding your video online. We do not recommend that you load video files directly into Canvas, though that is technically possible. The reason that we don't recommend that is that Canvas is not built or resourced as a video server. So too much video streaming from Canvas causes problems. And then Instructure, the company that writes Canvas, keeps a very close eye on that sort of thing. And if we end up with a lot of video on Canvas, we get a nasty gram from them. Then we have to go hunting people down and asking them to put that video somewhere else. So we're going to plead with you from the start not to put video on Canvas, but rather to put that video online somewhere where it can be stored and served without using Canvas's resources. And the classic illustration of that, or the classic example of that sort of place, or the place you might put such video, is YouTube. YouTube is the biggest video site in the world, for all we know, in the universe. It is humongous. And to use it is completely free. I honestly could not believe that the first time I heard it many years ago. You might go, wait a minute, because I had been putting video online for some time at that time, using resources provided by the schools where I worked, or resources that I rented myself. And it was quite a challenge to do that, and it was quite expensive. And somebody come along and told me, well, gee, if you make your own videos, you can put them on YouTube and you can share them with the world for free. And I quite frankly didn't believe it. It was true. And it's even more true now. YouTube is a completely free resource. It's the third most commonly visited site on the internet. It's owned by Google, who bought it many years ago from the people who created it. It contains, there are thousands of videos are uploaded to YouTube every minute. And as you can imagine, there are videos on YouTube on every subject you could possibly imagine, and quite likely a few that you can't until you see them. On the other hand, you don't have to worry too much about those videos being nasty or obscene. Google goes to a great deal of trouble to ensure that YouTube doesn't turn into a porn site, and they will they will fix your wagon if you anybody who tries will get their wagon fixed. And Google's one of the most powerful companies in the world, so it's not someone you want to get sideways with. So it's the video, while the tastefulness of it may vary considerably, it's not dangerous in any way. It is, well, some people would probably argue that some of the things that are put up there are erroneous enough to be dangerous, but it's not actively, it's not an active site for unpleasant content for the most part. And it's completely free to use. You can put as much video onto YouTube, and the videos can be as long as you like, as you want. And then people anywhere in the world can view if you allow it, can view those videos, though you do have control over who has access to your video on YouTube. So it's just an ideal resource. And it's because of the incredible number of videos on YouTube, there's a tremendous amount of instructionally useful content thereupon. So we'll start by talking about finding video on YouTube and then linking that video into your Canvas course so your students can look at that. Randy, you were talking about construction. My goodness. There are videos on YouTube showing how to construct almost anything, up to and hopefully not including nuclear weapons. Now, not all of the content, of course, is reliable or correct, but a tremendous amount of it is useful. And as a content matter expert yourself, you can, of course, evaluate what's good and what's not by watching it and deciding if it's of any use in your particular subject matter. But the chances are good, if you spend a little time at it, that you can find something that does fit those criteria. So how do we go about that? Well, you can just go to YouTube, which is very easy to reach. If you just type YouTube on the address line of your browser, you don't even have to finish the URL. It's youtube.com, but you just type YouTube and press enter, or if you're on a Mac, return. And there's YouTube. And yes, a lot of this video is frivolous. And it's very wide. The range of subject matter is incredibly wide. But there's a powerful search tool right at the top of the page that you can type keywords and phrases into. Somebody give me a subject area, as general or as specific as you like. You can unmute yourselves by clicking on the unmute button.
Dental.
Yes, I'm sorry?
Dental assisting.
Dental assisting. Cool. It doesn't even try to tell us how many hits there are. You may assume that it's thousands and thousands. So here are just on the first page of HITS. Well, we've got and also we've got online certification training for dental assistants and some advertisements for schools offering coursework. But then we get to videos that people have posted or that organizations have posted in some case. How do you know which ones are any good? Well, you pretty much just got to watch them and find out. But it doesn't take long to find something interesting in almost any field. How about some any of these first ones here look interesting? I'm asking
Yeah,
a subject matter expert here.
the dental assistant training sectioning.
Suctioning right here, this one, third one
Yeah.
down.
Yes.
Okay, so just, you can't tell a book by its cover. So to view the video, we'll just click on the thumbnail image here. And here we go.
Prior to practicing suctioning on a co-student, the correct OSHA-approved 2-wipe disinfection method must be performed on the dental unit. If you are not sure of the correct method of disinfection,
Okay, and I'm not going to ask you to commit yourself one way or another whether this is any good or not. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that this turned out to be something that looks like it might be useful in your online course.
Yes, it will be.
Oh, cool. You've already seen this one, huh?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Wow. I couldn't have paid for that. Thank you. Thank you very much for helping me make my point. And right, we no money changed hands, right? We have not discussed this in advance.
Right.
At no time did my fingers leave my hand. Oh, that's I love it. Thank you. So this video looks useful. How can we make use of it? Well, one of the first questions I get sometimes is, well, is it legal to do that? Can I put this into my course and use it? And the answer is yes, because YouTube deals with the copyright issues and so on. If it's up on YouTube and publicly accessible like this one is, you may safely assume that it's something you can use in your course without any risk or any ethical or legal concerns. It is a publicly available resource. And people put it up on YouTube as a public service. And YouTube is just full of content like that in every subject. So how then can we use it? How can we share it with our students most effectively? And the short answer is Canvas, that big web server that the State Chancellor's Office provides to us, where we can put links to content that our students can view at their convenience. But what information do we need in order to get this, to make that possible, make it possible for our students to go into Canvas, click on a link, and see this video? Well, in the case, and that's a little different for every video website that you run into or that you try to use. And YouTube is by no means the only place you can go and look for good pre-made video online. It's just probably the biggest single repository thereof. But how we link to the video in different sites varies a little bit from site to site. But let's see how to do this with YouTube, and that will give us the information we need usually to figure out how to do it for other sites. In YouTube, if you play the video and look at a bit of it, and then pause it, and we just have a play pause button over here. Pause it and look below the video. There's a little menu down here to the lower right of the video window itself. And one of the options in that menu is share. And if I click on that share button in YouTube, I get a couple of different ways that this video can be shared. One is just the so-called URL or web address of the video. That's it right there. If you put that in the address line of your browser, notice it's already up there. Well, something very comparable to it is up there already. And press enter, you can view the video. But you don't want your students having to do that and so on. What you can do, you can use this URL, however, to put a link to this video into Canvas. You can do that by copying this URL to your Windows or Mac clipboard just by clicking this copy button and then closing this window. You can also, of course, just highlight that. He said, there we go. Right click in there and click copy. Whichever. You just want to get that URL, the video URL, the video link on the clipboard. Once we have that, we can go back to Canvas, and there are several different ways we can use that link to make that video available to our students in Canvas. And to show you that, of course, I'm going to have to talk a little bit about how Canvas provides information to your students, or how you provide information to your students through Canvas. Canvas is built around a series of structures called modules. And there's a modules link here in the course menu. This is a menu associated with this particular Canvas course. This menu on the far left here in the gray bar is what's called the Global Access menu in Canvas. It gives you access to system-wide resources in Canvas. But this menu refers specifically to this Canvas shell or container that your students will have access to, or ultimately would have access to. To get started here, I'm going to go to the Modules tool. And I'm going to create a module. That's what this big link here, this big picture here gives me the right to do. Or I can just go over here on the right and click Add Module. It's the same process either way. A module is just going to be a collection of related information that you provide to your students. You might have a module for each week of your course, or a module for each topic in your course, or each chapter in your textbook, or whatever. In this case, this is just going to be a module with sample video in it. So I'm just going to call it sample video. This is just a sandbox course, or a play course after all. And I'll add that module to my Canvas course. So I get a blank module. It's just a bag into which I put no information yet. So how do I put information into the bag? In this case, we're specifically talking about how do I put links to video that's already out on the internet into the bag. Well, I do that by going to the name of the module and rolling over to the right. And let me pull that in a little bit because I know some of you have a video window over there where you're seeing. You may not be able to see stuff up in the upper right hand corner. So let me bring that in a little bit. This is a zoom trick. You got to remember that there's a little video, as you're seeing right now, there's a little video or a series of video thumbnails over here on the right side of the page in Zoom. When you're sharing your screen, the people who are attending your meeting are seeing your video, your face over here, and so the faces of some of your other attendees. And they may or may not know that they can move that out of the way. So I try not to use this part of the screen when I'm sharing my screen. Also, as I'm recording this, and in the recording, there will be usually will be a series of video windows over here on the right-hand side in the recording, which can cover up things that I'm talking about on the right side of this screen that I'm sharing. So I try to keep away from this rightmost part of the screen when I'm presenting in Zoom and when I'm sharing my screen. So I can, if I go out to the right here, I'll see this plus sign that is associated with the name of the module. That is the add item button for the module. It allows you to add a link to some content to the module. Add plus, right? They try to keep things as intuitive as possible. So click that plus sign. We get an add item to module, or to sample video module button. And we can add all links to all sorts of things. We can add links to homework assignments, quizzes, files, pages, computer files that we might upload to Canvas, pages that we create on Canvas, web pages, class discussions. But what I'm looking for right now is called an external URL. It's also, you might also refer to it as a hyperlink or a web link. It's a link that students can click on to then be taken to information that's stored outside of Canvas somewhere on the web, like a YouTube video. So if I select external URL, I'm asked for the URL, the Uniform Resource Locator, the web address of whatever this content is. In our case here, a YouTube video. So if I right-click on a PC, right-click in that box, I can paste the URL that I put on my Windows clipboard into that box. Works the same way on the Mac. You can also paste using a keyboard sequence on a PC where you hold down the control key, the CTRL key, and push the V, the letter V, and that will paste as well. Same thing. On the Mac, it's Command V instead of Control V. You'd think they could get that together, wouldn't you? Sorry. In addition to the URL, to set up this object in Canvas, I need to give it a name, basically so that the students can have something to click on. And in this case, I'll call this just say this is a YouTube video. Or better yet, dental assisting suction. Since that's, I might even spell assisting right if I'm really trying to be serious. And generally, when you are putting video into Canvas this way, into a Canvas module this way, it's advisable to load the link, the video, into a new browser window or a tab. Because sometimes videos don't play well inside the Canvas content frame. So just suffice to say that it's a good idea if you're making video links to load them in a new tab. And when you've done all that, you just click Add Item, and now a link to that video appears. If you publish both the module and that link, which in Canvas parlance just means make it available to students who might be enrolled in your course, a student can come in and just click on this text here, dental assisting suction. They're asked to open a new window. I'm not quite sure why Canvas does that. And there's that video.
Prior to practicing suctioning on a co-student,
they did not have to go to YouTube and look it up to find it. You provided it to them as a link in that module.
prior to practicing.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Cool.
You are not sure of the correct method.
I got
That's
it.
neat. Am I still playing that somewhere? No. Good. Okay, that's enough right there. You just know that much. You can find a lot of video, and you can make it available to your students in Canvas so they can view it anytime without having to go out and find it themselves. That's incredibly powerful, folks. That's like, I don't know, the first time, that's kind of like the feeling what Alexander Graham Bell must have had with the first phone call. My God, think what we can do with this. That is cool stuff. So most of the rest of the stuff I'm going to show you today is just adding more detail. But if you know that much, you can put video in your Canvas courses and use it effectively, and you can provide your students with amazing instructional resources without, in many cases, without even having to create them yourselves. You just have to be able to curate them. You have to find them and judge whether they're worthy of use in your course or not. That's pretty cool. Now we're going to go into a little bit more detail. Yes, I think I heard a question there.
Yeah, that was me, Kathy. When it opens, yeah, hi. Is it opening up in Canvas or is it opening up in a different link?
No. When I linked to that video, I didn't bring it into Canvas.
Oh, okay.
It's still sitting on YouTube. I'm just linking out to it. That's the basic superpower of the World Wide Web.
Okay.
Is the ability to take text documents and place within them something called hypertext, which is basically just some text that's also a link to content outside of that document, where a student, in such a way that a viewer can click on that link and go to this other resource automatically. That's the essential functionality of the World Wide Web as it was developed in the early 1990s by Tim Berners-Lee and a team at the High Energy Physics Institute in Switzerland, the people who run the Large Hadron Collider, the biggest atom smasher in the world, and so on. And they wanted a more efficient way to share information among themselves. So Lee created the World Wide Web. And it's kind of thing, boy, if I'd known more about how popular it was going to be then, I'd have tried to make more money out of it. He never made much money out of it. But it's changed all of our worlds. And that's the basic idea, is that you can put links to content all over the world into a single web page like this and link out to stuff anywhere. That video, though, is still located on YouTube. So it doesn't use any storage space in Canvas. It doesn't use any bandwidth that's associated with the instructor is providing to us. All that comes from YouTube. YouTube pays the cost of hosting the video and pays the cost of the bandwidth that's needed to distribute it to people all over the world. How can YouTube do that? How can Google do that?
Magic.
Well, the technology meets the dictates of Clarke's first law, which says that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. True. But there ain't no free lunch. Who's paying for it? Somebody.
Okay, so when we log in, because usually isn't there a question where it says, do you want this to open up here or open up somewhere else? So we don't have to open up somewhere else because it already is in YouTube.
Yeah, no, the question we had was, did you want it to open in a new tab?
New tab, yeah, that's the word.
And let me show you what that means by turning that off. Now, if I click on that link, instead of bringing up a new browser window, it just opens it right inside it tries to open it right inside Canvas in the Canvas content frame. But notice what it's saying. No, refused to connect. That's why I had to select that tab, and that's not uncommon with videos. If you want a video to open, if you want a video link to open, you have to load it in a new tab. The video still wasn't being transferred into Canvas. It wouldn't display properly unless you opened it in a new tab.
Prior to
So that's a good point. But still, the video is on YouTube, and YouTube is providing providing access to it. And there's no particular burden placed on Canvas doing that. That's how the World Wide Web works. So you can link any number of YouTube videos into your Canvas course and not have to worry about running out of space or bandwidth. Google pays for that, and they pay for it through advertisement. When I go and I click on that video, that link to that video, and open a new window, sorry, I see the video.
Prior to practicing suctioning on a co student, the correct OSHA-approved 2-wipe disinfection method must be performed on the.
Sorry, it wants to autoplay. See this little setting up here? I should turn that off. There we go. Play it when I tell you to. All right. I also get advertisements. I get other videos. And from time to time, other ads will pop up hither and yon. This is what is affectionately in the parlance of the World Wide Web called clickbait. They're trying to distract you into watching something else. And every time you do that, somebody makes, in many cases, when you click on another video, somebody makes a little bit of money on it. You know, like a fraction of a cent or something every time somebody clicks. But over a gazillion clicks, that adds up. That's, Google pays for YouTube by selling advertising. And that may not be something you're especially fond of exposing your students to. For one thing, it's sort of a tacit endorsement, even though it really isn't, but it appears to the student as a tacit endorsement on your part of some of this content. And some of these may not be nearly as good as the one that you picked. They may have fraudulent or, well, not fraudulent, probably, well, it could be, or unreliable information or whatever. And also you may want your students distracted from the video that you are showing them. So how do you avoid, yes?
Oh, I was going to ask you, how do you avoid that? Because like that.
How do you avoid that? Wonderful, exactly. Oh, you all are really cooperating today. Thank you.
That one could go into a toothpaste that, like, it looks like, oh, this is the best toothpaste to use.
Right, exactly. How do we avoid that sort of distraction? Well, there are other ways of providing access to this video to your students through Canvas. Let's look at some of those. Let's go back to the modules tool here. Let's see another way to link this video into Canvas. To do that, we'll have to create a different sort of link here in the module. Instead of creating, or go back to that same plus sign again, but this time, instead of creating an external URL, I'm going to create a Canvas page. A Canvas page is one of the fundamental content objects in Canvas. It's one of the fundamental ways of providing information to your students through Canvas. It's essentially just a web document, a web page that you create on Canvas that your students can click on a link to and pull up. And to create a page, you just have to click New Page. When you select the page from this menu here, or the page object type from this menu, you get an option to create a new page by clicking on the words New Page here. That's not super obvious because your cursor doesn't change or anything, but if you click on the words New Page, you're asked to provide a page name. I'm just going to call this video page because we'll be using it to show a bunch of different videos here. And then I'll add the item. Okay, so I get a link, and if I publish it, a student could click on that link. That's what that little button does. It makes it visible to students. If I click on that link, though, all I get are the words video page. There's nothing there because this is a blank page, the dreaded blank page that you roll into your typewriter and sit there staring at until beads of blood break out on your forehead. Hopefully not quite that bad. So how do we add content to an empty page that I've created in Canvas? Well, I do that with this edit button up here in the upper right. And that gives me an editor application. Not fundamentally different from something like Microsoft Word, though this is a lot less complex than Word and a lot less powerful, but more than adequate for our needs. I can type text in here just as I could in Word. This page will contain. That, of course, assumes I could type. My mother told me to take typing. This page will contain links, let's see, various types of video links, or whatever. I could write the great American novel here if I were talented and patient and had other virtues that I lack. So I shan't do that. I'm going to put a video link in here. The simplest way to put a video link into a Canvas page is very similar to what we did with our module. I can select this button in the second row of icons, and this is, by the way, called the Rich Content Editor in Canvas, primarily because it's rich, because you can put content like video into a page, which is very rich in information. So what I would do here is click this link to URL button, which is very comparable to the external URL button that we had in the module menus. And I'm asked for the same thing. I'm asked for the URL for the document. Usually in this case, though, before I click this link to URL button, I will type some text. Like this is a link to a YouTube video on suction. I can highlight either all these words or any of them. And then I can click this link to URL button. And I can paste that URL, which I think I still have on my clipboard. Nope. Oh, yeah, there it is. That's the one. Into that URL box, and then click Insert Link. And I get a link to a YouTube video. If I save this so I can see how it works, this is what it looks like. And if a student comes along and clicks on that link, they get a little window in which the YouTube video plays. This is called embedding a video. It's just a fancy way of linking a video in. I'm still not uploading this video to Canvas. It's not located on Canvas. It's still on YouTube, and YouTube is still paying for the storage and the bandwidth and all that. But the link is more enticing, makes people want to view it more. It's a little sexier, hopefully not literally. With this subject, probably not. Okay, so to play this video, I just click on the play button here, and I get the...
Prior to practicing suctioning on a co-student, the correct OSHA-approved 2-wipe disinfection method must be...
And by clicking this little link right here, I can full screen the video. So the students can see it. The student can do that so they can see it better. And boy, this is a nice high resolution video, so you can really see what they're doing here. Folks at Portland Community College have done a nice job with this. And they've shared it with us so we can use it. Portland, I can feel for that. I'm in northern Idaho these days, and Portland is one of the closest big cities to me. I've been there several times. It's a lovely city. But what did I avoid this time?
No ads.
No ads. That's not a sure thing, because if I play this
to
a little
clean
bit
your hands.
and then pause it, actually it's not doing that here. That's interesting. Sometimes you will see video, when you pause a video on YouTube, you will see other suggested videos, which may or may not have anything to do with this video. Also, typically when you go to the end of the video and finish playing it, which you can do
in this skill.
Nope, it prevented it there too. Sometimes you'll see suggested videos pop up there, but in this case they did not. I don't know if that's due to this particular video or due to this to Canvas itself. But anyway, no ads. Sometimes there will be ads at the beginnings of videos. Usually not ads that are videos that come from educational institutions like Portland Community College. But if it's a video that's more commercial, you may indeed see advertisements at the beginning of the video, because the person who puts up the video then can get a tiny bit of money every time you watch the video. They're usually not particularly offensive or anything like that, but they can be a bit distracting, and there's not much you can do to avoid that. But you can limit those distractions on the YouTube site by linking the video into a Canvas page instead of linking it directly into a module. So that's pretty cool.
On the certificate program,
yes.
the one like what you just described, the sample they include on how to upload video has what you just said, all those little videos from, I guess, other videos that guy has created.
Right.
So that's what you mean, right?
Yeah, that right. But those will not necessarily be other videos by the same author.
Well, some of them were.
Some of them were.
Yeah.
Some of them were not.
So does that mean he's getting
some
paid?
of them may have been lower in quality. And indeed, that was just luck. Some of them may have been totally off topic. Because YouTube's trying to maximize their revenue. So if they've got videos that they're getting paid a lot of money to hawk, those tend to show up in those suggested videos, even if they have nothing to do with your subject matter.
No, I mean the Canvas certificate training program is using those videos videos by you or by Katie, which I find odd.
Sometimes they have nothing to do with the topic, because those folks have not taken the step, and I don't always do this either, of preventing YouTube from displaying those suggested videos. And that's one of the things I intend to show you how to do here, is to prevent YouTube from showing those suggested videos. But this is certainly one option to and that makes putting, to create this video link, that makes putting video into a page on Canvas very, very, very simple. There is another way to do that I'm going to show you that has certain advantages. And that's using this Insert Edit Media tool here. We use the Link to URL tool to put this link into the page. Let's link that same video in a slightly different way. I can do that by going to the Insert Edit Media tool in the Rich Content Editor, which is the second icon from the left here. And I can go to the Embed tab in this box by clicking on the word embed there, because that's what they call this process that we're doing here, embedding video into a web page. And I need what's called an embed code. You can't always get an embed code for a video that's stored on the web, but if the video's on YouTube, you always can get that. You get that in much the same way that you got the basic URL or link for the video, by going to the share button for the video and clicking where it says embed right here in this little share box that pops up. You click embed, you get some what's called HTML code, computer code, hypertext markup language code. You don't have to worry about what that means or what any of this means to the computer. You just need to know that you can copy this to your clipboard. You can do that on YouTube just by hitting this copy button down here in the lower right. That will put that on your clipboard. And then you can go back to Canvas and you can paste that embed code into this box. Again, you don't have to know anything about what that code does. You just need to get it all in there and click OK. When you do that, you get a nice big embed. Compare the two. This one is a whole lot more inviting, really. But it works basically the same way. You click on the play button, it plays. You can full
Prior
screen
to practicing suctioning on a co-student, the correct
out.
OSHA-approved 2-wipe.
But here, all of a sudden, I'm getting suggested videos. And this is what you're seeing in at least in some of the cases on the online faculty certification program. And if you go to the end of the video and play it right to the end.
When the dentist exits the mouth and pauses for inspection.
Trying to get to the end quickly.
A procedure as debris accumulates during the preparation and restoration of a tooth. This rinsing must be accomplished quickly and efficiently, causing no delay in the procedure. This occurs mostly when the dentist exits the mouth and pauses for inspection. Suctioning is an important dental assisting skill that takes a lot of practice. Do not be discouraged if this procedure seems difficult and frustrating at first. With practice, you will become proficient in this skill.
And that's interesting. Oh, there we go. Okay, suggested videos. So how the next question might be, how do we stop that from happening? Because these may or may not have much to do with your current topic. And indeed, they may be totally off topic. And it may involve a picture of somebody in a thong who shouldn't wear a thong. So it won't be obscene, but it may not be tasteful. So how do you prevent that from happening?
Our students think they're supposed to watch that too.
Yeah, right. Indeed, they may. Though most of them, I think, will probably be skeptical at the very least.
But if it looks like it's related, they might.
Yeah. So how can we prevent that? Well, you can do that with a very simple alteration of that embed code. If we go to Insert Edit Media, go to the Embed tab, and paste that same embed code in again, there's a very small amount of text that you can add to this code that will prevent that from happening. The trick is knowing exactly where to put it. If you look here, this is the URL for the video that's embedded, if you will, into this code. And what we want to add needs to go right at the end of that URL. Let me bump this up in size a little bit. I think I can do that. There we go. So you can see it a little better. That help?
Yes.
Okay, good. Here's the URL. And it ends right there at the edge of that blue highlight, and there's a quotation mark. I want to be right inside that quotation mark with my text entry cursor. I just click right there, and I'm just inside that quotation mark. And I type the following magical incantation. Question mark, REL, lowercase, equal sign, and a 0. Not an O, a 0. So that's the magic incantation. Question mark, REL equals 0. And it's right inside that quotation mark. Now if I click OK, I'll embed the video again, and let me pull out a little bit so you can see that better. By the way, what I'm doing is in any web browser window, you can magnify by holding down the Control key on the keyboard and pressing the plus sign to magnify and the minus sign to pull back out, zoom back out. So now I've got this video embedded in much the same way twice, but when I play this one.
Prior to practicing suctioning on a co-student,
I don't get any suggested videos. And if I go to the end and play, I don't get any suggested videos. And it just pulls back to the original. So that magical incantation will prevent you from ending up with suggested videos.
You know, Dave, I tried this and it was quite confusing. I did it correctly in the end, but it was very confusing to know there are quotation marks, there are so many.
I know. Finding the right spot takes some time.
So
The first time. Once you've done it once, it's a lot easier. But again, it has to be, if we go back to edit that embed, which I believe I can do, and paste it in again. What you look for, it's usually near the beginning. You get a width and height, and then you get the URL itself, and that's what you're looking for. The key letters are HTTPS. Stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, if you care for that. But as long as you remember, once you see that, what follows is the URL for the video. You'll also see youtube.com there. So you know where you are, and then you got to be just inside the quotation mark at the end of that URL. So I'm sorry, that you just got to be in the right place and type exactly the right thing, because remember, computers are stupid. You supply the intelligence, and you're supplying an instruction to the computer that it can understand in a form that it can understand if you do that. But it's question, let me put that into the chat tool. Question mark REL equals 0.
You don't have to delete what's in there, just type it over
No,
it.
you don't delete it. You must not delete anything. If you do, it'll stop working. You add something to it only. All right. So that's the secret of avoiding unwanted suggested videos. And all of this, of course, has to do specifically with YouTube videos, but YouTube is scarcely the only source of video, useful instructional video on the web. It's just the most prolific one and the one that people use most commonly. Let's take a look at some other possibilities here, but the techniques I've showed you for linking and embedding video into Canvas will work just as well for other sites. Though in some cases, you may not be able to get the embed code like I used with these two instances of this video. And indeed, you may not be able to get this either. You may end up with simply a link that looks like this without this little embed below it. So sometimes you may just have to put up with a basic hyperlink, either within the page, within a page, or in the module. But that's okay, those work too, like this external URL link that I created. And with some websites that have video on them, you'll be able to get an embed code that you can use in the way that I just showed you. But you may not have that. You may not have anything other than just a URL for the video that you want to show to your students, and that's fine. It's not as sexy looking, it's not as engaging perhaps, but it'll work every time. So we go back to that simple process of just creating an external URL in a module and putting the URL in the box that you've gotten from the website, which you can always get, and then giving it a name and adding the item and producing something like this works fine. And you can share video with your students that way, and you can share just about any video that you can find online with your students. I think I heard a question there. Or not.
I think
Or
it was
somebody
a yawn.
thought better of it. I don't know. Yes?
No, I think it was a yawn. I apologize.
Oh, yawn. Oh, gosh.
It's not you. I was up too late.
That's all right. I put a lot of people to sleep over the years. I was counting up the other day and how long I've been teaching at one level or another, and the first number in the amount was 5, and I was suitably appalled. So I've put a lot of people to sleep over the years. Hopefully none of them permanently. I don't think I ever actually bored anyone to death, but I probably came pretty close. Okay. So, yes.
I do have a question, which I was
Good.
thinking, there's that online teaching conference going on, and today was a pre-conference day.
Yes.
So I think I heard, and I think you may have said this also, on Zoom Cloud, when you do a video, she said that they only have it for 30 days and then it disappears. Is that correct? Or did I hear correctly?
No, not yours. No.
Okay.
The reason they're having to do that is you do have limited space on the Zoom Cloud in your account.
Okay.
And sooner or later, you will fill that up.
Okay.
So you're going to have to manage that storage space somehow. But rather than removing access to the video, which these folks are, the conference folks are pretty much constrained to do, I guess, you can simply move that video somewhere else and continue to give your students access to it. And the most common choice is YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You can take videos that are on the Zoom Cloud, download them, and move them to YouTube, and then delete them from the Zoom Cloud so that they're no longer taking up your Zoom Cloud space. You can do this with videos that maybe you've passed that point in your course. It's relatively less likely the students are going to need to watch it. But you can still leave it accessible to them by putting it on YouTube in lieu of the Zoom Cloud. You'd have to go and change the link in Canvas to point to YouTube instead of the Zoom Cloud, but it will still work just as well. And we do have a tutorial showing you how to do that. It is on our on-demand site, on-demand video tutorial site at sdccdolvid.org, which I can't blow up, unfortunately. I always forget that. This address right here, let me put that in the chat tool. And those are video tutorials that we have made that specifically are localized, I guess is the term I'm looking for, to our systems. And let me put that in the chat tool and then go back and show you what that looks like. Yes, I'm sharing my screen. And there are a number of ways to find tutorials on here, but probably the easiest thing to do is search, in this case, for Zoom recording. And here's the first link, how to move your Zoom recordings from the Zoom Cloud to YouTube. So when you start running out of space in your Zoom Cloud, you can move that stuff to YouTube fairly simply and quickly. It takes a little while for the downloads to occur sometimes, but it's the amount of time required your active involvement for you is pretty limited. And you can do that.
Can you save
By
it
the way,
to
this
your
is,
computer?
yes, go ahead.
Can you save it also to your own computer, not just in?
Yes, as a matter of fact, and you have to do that in the interim. You download it from the Zoom Cloud, it goes to your computer, and then you upload it to YouTube, and probably you'd keep a copy of it on your computer as well.
No, I meant the YouTube video that you were going to save. Remember you started out, there was a YouTube video like the one with the dental suctioning, and
Right.
to save it to your computer instead of keeping it.
Yes, you can do that. It is not something that YouTube is happy about, and indeed it violates their terms of use. I have done it myself from time to time, for what I considered valid educational reasons to and saved a local copy of it. For one thing, I was afraid the video might vanish from YouTube because the owner can delete it at any time. But that does violate YouTube's terms of service. No, you're not going to get in trouble. You're not going to get caught. But it is the ethics of it are uncertain. Let's put it that way. And it requires the use of a tool called a YouTube Ripper. That is probably the biggest single danger because those tend to come from rather dodgy sources.
Like DuckDuckGo?
No, DuckDuckGo is wonderful. DuckDuckGo is a secure and encrypted search engine, so people online can't track what you're looking at. It's not a coincidence if you look at something on Amazon that then every time you go to other websites and so on, that starts to show up. That's not a coincidence. Google is keeping track of that and is selling that to other people who then keep throwing up those ads to you. DuckDuckGo puts an end to that sort of thing. It's not, I don't think, as effective a search engine as Google, but it's more private.
Is it an Apple product, DuckDuckGo?
It's a website and an app, yes, both.
Okay.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about downloading those, using the YouTube Ripper or downloading it from a website. The website may be a little dodgy, and that you could end up with malware on your computer.
Okay.
I try to be careful about things like that and check my computer after I do it and so on. But mainly I just try to avoid doing activities like that. So yes, you can rip a video off of YouTube, though YouTube continually tries to make that harder. And it's a war between the rippers and YouTube trying to prevent them from working and the rippers figuring out a way to do it. And it's just not something I recommend as a regular thing. If you have a powerful enough reason to do it and you're responsible about what you use that video for, then I'll be honest, I have done it. But I don't make a regular practice of it.
Okay, because if we do go back in the classroom, the high schools do not allow you to use the YouTube videos.
That's one reason why I have done it for faculty.
Okay.
That's a good point. Because I knew the faculty member was going to use it for a legitimate educational purpose and that they were not going to be able to show that video unless they had it stored locally on their laptop's hard drive. So I got in touch with my inner ethics conscience and figured that I could do that and still remain ethical, but it wasn't exactly illegal, but it did violate YouTube's terms of service. And that's kind of a gray area in the law. So it's not something I was all that happy about, but I felt it was worth it. The risk was worth it in that case. Just trying to be completely frank with you here. And of course I am being recorded. So hopefully I won't be getting any nasty grams from Google over that.
We should have said off the record, pause the recording.
Oh, yeah, right. I could have paused the recording, I guess, but that's something that people might find useful to hear. So I'm not going to worry about it. Google's got a lot of other things to worry about.
If not, you have a list of all the possible snitches on this road, right?
Yeah, right. I've got a list here. Okay. And moving forward, another thing you can find on this site, by the way, are the archives of these sessions, because I'm recording this one right now, and it'll be up there soon, but there's a button at the top that says Workshop Archives. And if you go to that, and you'll get a list of all of the Zoom recordings that we've done of these training sessions over the last several months. Actually, we have them, some of them going back as much as 4 years. And there's page after 8 pages of them now, with about a dozen a page. So here's the one we did on the 15th, the Introduction to Zoom seminar. So Randy, if you wanted to go back and take a look at that, you can. And in light of some of the things you've learned since then, some of it may make more sense. So we do that for all of our sessions, unless I forget. And fortunately, I have enough repeat customers. They know my mental weaknesses, and often say, if I forget to start the recording, someone will remind me, and it's very much appreciated. So don't forget to record your Zoom meetings. I wish I could tell you a magic way to avoid that. But anyway, this one will be up here by probably sometime tomorrow. Doesn't take long to put them up there. All right, so where else can we look for video on the web?
Oh.
Lots of places. Just go to Google for one thing, and search Google for a topic, and some of the hits you'll get will be videos, but a lot of them will be YouTube videos. So where else might you look? Because Google owns YouTube, so they're gonna prioritize their own sites. I mean, it's unrealistic to expect otherwise. So where else can you look? Well, you can get a bit of an idea of some other places to look by going to our Open Educational Resources site here at the district. Most of you should have this tile on your dashboard. I'll show it to you in a second. There it is. This one with this funky graphic in it called Open Educational Resources. If you don't see that on your dashboard, send me an email and I'll put you in there. We try to put faculty in bulk each semester, but I'm sure we miss some people. So let me put my email address into the chat tool. dgibberso, they couldn't afford the N, dgibberso@sdccd.edu. And send me an email and I'll put you in there. It's no trouble at all. But if I go into that course, there are links to all sorts of free educational content that you can use with your students, notably free textbooks. There are some tremendously high quality open textbooks out there now that your students can use as ebooks for free, or maybe pay $20 for a paper copy in some cases. And the resources that are available to go with those textbooks are getting better all the time. There's well over 150, I think, open textbooks in different subjects listed here, and we're adding new ones all the time. There are many more than that out on the web. But what I'm more interested in right now is this rectangle here that deals with OER, Open Educational Resource video sites. If I click in there, you get a simple list of some of the most commonly used ones, or the biggest ones. YouTube at the top of the list, of course. The Khan Academy has screencast type videos on just about every academic subject there is, though they have a little bit more on computer and technical subjects, but they have some on everything. All free for you to use and link into your Canvas course, just like we did with it. Indeed, most of them are on YouTube as well, but you can access them through the Khan Academy. TED, what a technology, entertainment and something, the famous lecture series used to be done only in Switzerland once a year, but now there are people giving TED Talks all over the world, all the time. TED is a marvelous video repository of short presentations. Usually, I think the nominal is 18 minutes is what they shoot for, on just a wide variety of topics. And many of the people giving TED Talks are literally the world's experts on the subject. So very high quality stuff here. You can search this site. Let's see if there's anything on dental assisting there. Not exactly. That's disappointing. Let's try another subject like, racism. I misspelled it though. Yeah, well, it let me get away with it. Lots of videos on that. And to click one, to see one, you just click on the access to it, and then click on the link to the talk itself. It'll be captioned, just as all videos on YouTube are, or almost all. So it's accessible to people with disabilities. And there's a share button where you can get a link, URL, or an embed code, just like you can from YouTube. And most TED Talks are also on YouTube. So the you can use TED Talks, you can embed TED Talks into your Canvas course pretty much like you can YouTube videos. Vimeo is like a mini YouTube that tends to have slightly higher quality videos on it than YouTube on average. Most of Canvas's video tutorials, for instance, instructors' video tutorials about Canvas are stored on Vimeo, and it has a search as well. I want to find that video, find videos on dental assisting here. Bingo, lots of them. And these can be linked into your Canvas course, much the same way. I just don't want this to play. So there we go. To share this puppy, you have a, everybody has their own cute icons. The share icon on Vimeo is a paper airplane. You click that, and you get a link and an embed code. So just like YouTube.
The dental field is growing by leaps.
You'd put it in Canvas just like you would a YouTube video. And I've already shown you our video repository. So those we have listed there, but this is
Before you went,
lots of other places.
Vimeo doesn't always close caption though.
That's true. Videos on Vimeo may or may not be closed captioned, or captioned, period. And the ones that are not captioned, we may not use.
Unless we know how to, is there a way to legally caption them? If we really want to use them? Because the school is paid for them.
There is a way to do it legally. And there's a way to do it dodgily. Which one would you like to hear?
On camera.
On camera, legally, right. Legally, you can use a site called Amara. A-M-A-R-A, Amara.com. Through an incredibly complex and tedious process, you can create a caption stream for the Vimeo video that will play along with the video. So it looks like the video is captioned, even though it's not. And for a hearing impaired student, the difference is academic. They'll be able to see the captions. But it ain't simple.
That looks like an ad. Is that the right one?
Amara, do not believe it is. Huh.
I mean, it looks like they're having a great sale, though.
Amara, somebody may have bought that URL. Let me see. Amara captioning. Amara.org. My bad. I'm sorry. It's not a .com. It's a .org. There we go. And that's the right one.
Okay.
It's not for the faint of heart. Another thing I have done, which I will defend to the death as justifiable, is I have recorded the audio from a YouTube video. Using a video editor, then I've taken that audio track and just associated with a still image of randomly selected still image and uploaded that to YouTube. YouTube will caption that video automatically without flagging it as a copyrighted video, even if it is commercial video or whatever. And then you can then download the captions from YouTube as a caption file and marry that up with the captions on using a video editor. It's a complicated process, but it's simpler and less tedious than using Amara. And I've been able to caption videos for faculty who needed to use them in their course, but who could not find a captioned version to buy. It didn't exist. And then we put those videos online on a private video server that we have and claimed fair use under copyright law. That's not something I recommend on a regular basis either, but it is possible to do. But Amara is an option. But your best bet is to find another version or an alternative video somewhere that is captioned.
Okay.
So where might you find such a thing? Well, you might find it on YouTube. But we also, the colleges, and unfortunately this is not probably true for in most cases for continuing ed. The colleges do, through their libraries, pay for access to certain educational video video sites that have a world of content on them that has been licensed for use online. So it's legal for you to use it in your course. Films on Demand is one that is, I think, available at all 3 colleges. There's another one, Spanx or Spanky or something like that, that has feature films on it, a few hundred feature films that you can use online in your course if you teach film or if you need to pull a piece out of a feature film to illustrate some concept in your course. And there are others that are available at one college or the other. Check with your media librarian about that. Just to give you an example of that, I'm going to have to go to another course here that is actually in Mesa's sub-account on the Canvas so that it has access to these videos. And I got to find that. Don't let your dashboard get this messy. We're going to have to do a course someday on how to manage your dashboard, but I'm probably not going to be able to teach it because I obviously don't do a very good job of it. Seminar Sandbox Mesa, there we go. the process is very similar to what we did with embedding the YouTube videos. I'll make a page, Canvas page. I'll call it video resources page, just to remind me what it's about. And I'll go and edit that page. And I'll go to this little icon here that I didn't have before, but I do in the Mesa course. And you would at Miramar and City as well. This little V in the, let me make that bigger. This little V in the second line of the icons in the rich content editor. If I click on that, I get access to Vimeo. Well, we've seen how to go to Vimeo, but Films on Demand and 3C Media, which is a video sharing site established by the California community colleges through CCC Confer. I think it's related to CCC Confer. It's based at Palomar College. And it's a tremendous source of shared video from people all over the California community colleges. Video that's been shared for you to use. Films on Demand is a commercial resource that is subscribed to by your libraries. If you click on that, you get a search box, basically. I got to try this again. Dental assisting, let's see. Oh, look at that. Well, actually that didn't go so well. That search didn't go so well. Let's try putting quotation marks because it's picking up the word assisting by itself. Let's try, well, darn, one.
You had suction. Add the word
Pardon?
suction.
There you go. Let's try that one. Well, if I add a word, I know it won't help because that'll narrow my search. And this is a general, it looks like a general career development video. Let's just try suction. I think I can spell that word. Separation techniques in chemistry. Liposuction. Nope, don't think so. Well, there might be something here somewhere. This is a separation technique from a chemistry laboratory demonstration. I'll pick that simply because I used to teach that too. By training, I'm an organic chemist. So if I find a film I like, I can preview it to see if it's any good, which is fairly standard. And if I like it, I can embed it into my Canvas page by clicking this link here and deciding how big I want the embed to be, small, medium, or large. You just try and see what you like. I'm going to pick medium. That then embeds that video right into your Canvas page, just like that, snap. And you can play it. It is closed caption, only in English.
When using filter paper and a funnel, it's important to maximize the surface area of the filter paper. Start by folding it in half. Run your finger.
Another advantage to YouTube over this, even though you probably wouldn't find this particular video on YouTube, or maybe anything just like it, is that YouTube can provide captions through a translation feature in something like 50 different languages. And that can be exceptionally valuable for your students from all over the world for whom English is not their primary tongue. they can go through on YouTube and pick their native language and get automatically translated captions. They may not be perfectly translated, but they'll probably be a heck of a lot better than nothing. Also, YouTube, if you upload video to YouTube, YouTube can create automatic captions in like 8 or 9 different languages, including most of the major European languages and Hindi, some of the most commonly spoken languages in the world. So YouTube has some real advantages. And there is also here, over even some of these other, but look, you can look everywhere. And there's also, in addition to this tool for films on demand and 3C Media, which works fairly similarly, you also have a tool for YouTube that does the same thing. You can search for YouTube videos right from within the rich content editor. And get gajillions of those. And the embed works the same way. You just say embed medium, large, or small, and there's that YouTube video embedded. That way you don't even have to go to YouTube and look. So these are all tricks that you can use to embed video into your course, or to link video into your course. And places on the web where you can look for instructional video. And we're adding new links to that video sources page all the time, or you'll just see things on the web and say, wow, I like that video. How can I put that into Canvas? Well, all you need
along the
really,
fold, but not too much, as it can weaken the
let's see,
paper.
I don't need the embed here. Just
Then
a
fold in
second.
half.
Get this. Pause that. If you go to one of those sites like, let me bump that down again so it's a little more, you can see a little more. If I go to one of those sites on the on that OER page or OER course, let's go to like OER repositories. Merlot. And let's type, let's see, where's the search? Oh, there we go. Video. Dental. Nope, didn't help me there. Let's just do video. This basically gives you access. This is a more general or a larger set of video repositories than we have on our site. Merlot is the biggest repository of open educational resources in the world. Now here's some accounting videos. Let's go there. Go to material. Okay. I'm leaving Merlot, fine. All right, here, accounting videos. Here's one on why study accounting. Let's go there. Well, that's a YouTube video. That doesn't help me at all. Thanks a lot. Let me see if I can find one of these that's not on YouTube. I'm trying to make a point here. Those are all YouTube videos. Oh, it says that there, doesn't it? Okay. I don't want to go too far into making a point here. Introduction to video recording and editing. Okay. Go to material. Let's see if any of these are not on YouTube. Looks like it. Probably not. This is a course. Okay. Oh, I can probably make this better by going to a place like National Geographic. There's another organization that has lots of video online.
Excuse me. Oh my goodness.
And let's go. Looking for their general video site menu.
Is Watch TV the same, or?
I'm not sure. There we go, videos. These are all videos posted by National Geographic. And if you're teaching certain types of subjects, some of this could be very handy. If we click there and pull up that video, there we go, it's playing. So how do we share this? Well, I'm not seeing a share button. I'm not telling you there's not one, but I'm not seeing one. How can I get to this page? Well, here's the web address for that page in the address line on my browser. I can just copy that to my clipboard, go back to Canvas, go to my little video course that we were building there. Okay, where's my, that's aggravating. It's moved it. It will do that sometimes. If I've used something else in the interim, I went into this one and it moved that one around. Where'd it go? That's inconvenient when I'm in the middle of a course. I don't know where that went. I'll have to look for it later. Let me just show you how to put this in another course, since we're just about done anyway. Should have been done 3 minutes ago, my apologies. If I want to add that video to one of these modules here, I can just make an external URL, paste that in, that I copied from the top of the page at National Geographic. Page name, National Geo Video. And always with video, load the external URL in a new tab. That's only important if you're putting the link in the module rather than in the page. If you put the link in a page, it assumes you want it to open in a new window. And click that, and then open a new window, and it takes you right to that page at the National Geographic website. That's called a deep link into the National Geographic website. It's not illegal. It's a little, you might be depriving a website owner of a little bit of advertising revenue by bypassing their opening pages and jumping deep into their site like that. But I will tell you that I've always been able, for educational reasons, I've been able to reconcile my concerns about that with the benefits versus the benefits to my students. So I don't worry about that. So all I had to do was get that URL and put that into a web link or an external URL in Canvas in much the same way that I showed you with YouTube earlier. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Dave?
Yes, ma'am.
What I want to know, how if we did ourselves something and we want to do it and put URL to it. Like we
Okay,
have a
if
video,
you make
video.
your own, if you make your own video,
Yes.
you have to put it online somewhere to share it with your students. And the most likely place to do that would be YouTube.
Okay.
And once you put your video on YouTube, you'd use exactly the same techniques I've showed you here to get them there. Oh, one thing I do want to show you how to do is link a video from the Zoom cloud into your course. I'm so sorry, I forgot that earlier when I was doing the video links. Let me show you that. Let's say you have the way that you're most likely to create your own videos is to record a Zoom session, either as part of one of your live lectures or as or you may have just started a Zoom session without anybody else in it and recorded it. And that produces a video. And that video can contain video of you, motion video of you, or it can contain screencast content like we're doing right now, where I'm showing you my screen through Zoom. That's being recorded by Zoom. And that will produce a video recording that I can link into Canvas later. One way to share those Zoom recordings, Zoom meeting recordings with your students is to put the video on YouTube. And that's something we show you in another session. But let's say you record your videos to the Zoom cloud, which is the default option when you're using your Confer Zoom accounts that you get from the State Chancellor's Office. You can upload, if you just hit record on a Confer Zoom account and don't select any options, it will go to the Zoom cloud. So how do you share those videos with your students in Canvas? And the answer is almost the same way I just did with this National Geographic video, but the process of getting the web address for that video is a little different. If it's in the Zoom cloud, you web to zoom.us, the Zoom corporate website, which is where all of your Zoom accounts, including the Confer Zoom accounts, live. And then you sign in using your credentials that you were provided by Confer Zoom. And you come into the Zoom account management screens for your account. On the left, there is a menu, and one of the options in that menu is recordings. And this is where you will find links to your Zoom recordings that have been stored in the Zoom cloud. To get the link for one of those videos, you just click on the name or on the link to the video, and on the very next page, there's a button labeled Copy Shareable Link. Simply click on that, and that gives you the link, that copies the web address, the URL for that video to your clipboard. Then you go back to Canvas, you add an external URL to your module or a hyperlink to a Canvas page, either one is fine. You paste in that link into the URL box and you name it. This is a Zoom video from Zoom Cloud. In this case, you absolutely must select Load in a New Tab. If you are creating an external URL in Canvas, linking your students to a video recording stored in the Zoom cloud, you must load it in a new tab, or it won't work. Then I add item, and I click on that link, and then allow my browser to open a new window. And there's your Zoom recording from the Zoom cloud. So that's the process for linking your videos from Zoom. And this is where the interface between Zoom and Canvas hits. All those Zoom recordings you do when you're doing your Zoom lectures with your students can be linked into Canvas, into a Canvas module for that
How about the
chapter, or that
captions?
week, whatever. Pardon?
How about the captions?
The transcript, is that automatically recorded?
Hello, everyone. Today we're going to learn how to.
Just as with YouTube, any video that you upload to the Zoom cloud is automatically captioned.
Wow.
Ah.
Yes.
And they're quite good captions as well,
Yes.
as are YouTube's.
Okay.
So I've come around a long way. I was quite skeptical of the Zoom cloud at first, because Zoom is a tiny little company and they're under a lot of pressure right now to expand quickly. And I worried about whether the Zoom cloud would be stable. That is, whether it would provide reliable access to your recordings. I know YouTube will. Nothing's going to happen to Google, or if it does, we have many more problems. If Google went out of business, it would be because the world was basically teetering on the edge of ruin. Really, I mean, we're talking about worlds in collision or something like that. YouTube's going to be there. The Zoom cloud I had some concerns about, but I have to say, through this whole crisis period we're going through, the Zoom cloud has held up very well.
Yes.
So I've become something of a convert. It works great. The only real limitation to it is that you only get a gigabyte of storage space. And these are big videos, so you will run out of storage space in the Zoom cloud pretty soon. So you need to have a way to move stuff off of there and onto some other site where your students can still view it. YouTube probably being the ideal. And that's why I created that video that I showed you earlier about how to move stuff out of the Zoom cloud to YouTube, which you can do perfectly legally and ethically. There's no dodginess associated with that. And but as far as using the Zoom cloud, it's great. And it's very simple. It's easy. It takes less time for you to get a video online through the Zoom cloud than it does in any other way I know. It's simpler and it's easier for you.
Okay, Dr. Dave.
Yes.
I know the Zoom session ended. Remember in the beginning, I asked you, I want to share with
let me
when you finish.
Not to worry. I'm not going to vanish on you.
Okay, thank you.
You've had a chance to ask your question.
Thank you.
I will just say that that's pretty much what I had wanted to do today. And let me ask if there are any other questions specifically about adding video or using video in your Canvas course. And when we've exhausted those, then I'll take questions on any topic. But how about any other questions about video, embedded video in Canvas? And I see April with her hand up.
Let's say I practice more mindfulness around eating. Let's say I want to become maybe a more
April, just
getting
a second.
interference.
Now let me mute that, and then you can unmute yourself. Okay, April, if you can unmute yourself now.
Again?
We'll
Okay.
be able to hear you.
Oh,
Very
okay.
good.
Here's my question. If I'm Zoom clouding in Spanish, which I'm going to be doing a lot, what kind of captions are my students going to see? Because you were saying that when you
That's
record.
a really good question. to which I do not know the answer.
I admire your honesty.
Would you let me know what you find? I would just do a brief Zoom session in Spanish, and then wait for the captions to appear, and let me know, will you? That's a very good question.
As soon as I get my sound fixed.
YouTube will do automatic captions in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the Zoom Cloud will, and that's a really good question. Would you mind letting me know when you?
I'll hunt around. My major problem as host is my sound, so I have to get an internet problem fixed or buy a new computer. But I will hunt around and ask and see what I can find out. I was already teaching summer school. What happens? Okay, thank you though.
Well, thank you. And I must say, you're coming through fine here.
Yes, I know that people can hear me. And even when I host a session, people can hear me. But when I host a session, I cannot hear them. The sound breaks up. And since I get messages, an internet connection problem, I think I ought to call Spectrum because they're responsible for my internet.
I hear you. And yes, indeed. And that may be the issue there. It probably is a bandwidth issue on your end.
May I ask one more question related to closed captioning?
Well, but I'll just mention that you can still, with Zoom, start a Zoom session with no one else in it, and narrate it in Spanish, and maybe just a short one, and then save it to the cloud, and that should tell you whether or not the Zoom Cloud can caption in Spanish or not.
So if I do that before I start, I just click on the record button at the bottom.
Right.
That's how it's done.
And you don't have to have anybody else in there with you. Indeed, that's a classic strategy to use Zoom to create instructional videos. It doesn't have to be a meeting with other people in it. You can just start a meeting with just you in it and record that, and then share that video link with your students using the techniques we've just seen. And so Zoom is a great video production tool as well as a meeting tool. Okay, and you had another question, and Kathy,
it's related to DSPS related issues, and maybe you or someone else can answer this. Obviously, we want to be able to provide our students with disabilities closed captioning when necessary. In the old days, these students would enter the classroom, present the documentation. How is this handled now? Does the DSPS send us information about the students, send the documentation, or does the student send it to us? Does anyone know the answer?
The student sends it to you, and then the student has to provide information if they need extra time on a test.
Okay. Well, that's not a problem the way I do my exams, but thank you. So the student will send that information to me as an attachment, I assume, or scan it to me?
Somehow, yes.
All right, thank you.
Because DSPS has too many students to do that for each one.
Okay.
So it's the student's responsibility. I just got a student that submitted DSPS stuff yesterday. So it's the student's responsibility to let you know.
Okay.
And then you provide whatever is required.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. My camera's not working today. That's why you can't see me.
Thank you. But thank you for chipping in, Christine, very much, because I'm not in that cycle, so I wouldn't have a definitive answer. Thank you. I will say something about captioning, though. Vis-a-vis captioning, it doesn't matter whether you have a hearing impaired student in your class or not. Your videos still have to be captioned proactively. And that's by national and state law and by district and CCC regulation and policy. So there's no ambiguity there. Now, did that answer your questions, April?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Kathy was next, and Marlene, I see you.
All right, I'm getting ready I just started taking the tests and everything for the certificate program. And so I'm getting ready to do the video. And so I'm wondering, since I don't have a smartphone, if I film myself through, I think you said you could do screen Cast-O-Matic? Like I film myself, my webcam, the camera that you see me on, film myself through that, make it a short 30-second to 1-minute video, upload it to YouTube.
Right.
But but is that the same as if I use Zoom to do it? It seems like you said that if you film it,
yes,
Zoom automatically captioned. How does that?
That works like a charm. The easiest way probably to do, well, the two easiest ways to do activity 2.7 in the training and the certification course. One is to just pull up Zoom, speak for a minute or so, hit record, speak for a minute or so, let it upload that to the Zoom cloud, go to the Zoom cloud like I showed you how to do, get your video URL. You will have to go, the reason I say make it a short video, for activity 2.7 in the training course specifies that you edit the captions to get them as accurate as possible. You can do that in the Zoom cloud. Let me pull that back up.
Also, with that module, they are specifically requesting that you put it on YouTube.
You don't have to you do not have to put it on YouTube. You have to put it somewhere where it's captioned and where you can edit the caption.
For the certificate?
Trust me, I wrote that question many years ago.
Okay, then I believe you. And
it does not have to be.
I would not have
to be on. I'm sorry.
I had so many sleepless nights because I couldn't find it.
Oh no, it does not have to be.
It's okay now.
Doesn't have to be sent to YouTube. Sending it to the Zoom cloud is permissible, because once it's on the Zoom cloud, you get automatic captions and you can edit those captions. Here, for instance, are the captions for this video. If I play,
you'll find all the different notes on the piano or your keyboard at home. So we're going to start by learning our finger numbers. So if you can hold up your hands with me, our thumbs are up. So
okay. The problem with both YouTube and the Zoom cloud is that sometimes they're perfect. And you can't, there's nothing to edit. And that's the case so far here. But assuming it misses a word, or maybe a YouTube notably will miss caps and periods. It never puts those in. This is one way the Zoom, just a second, please. This is one way the Zoom cloud is better in some ways in captioning, but once you get your captions in the Zoom cloud, you can just mouse over the caption text here, and you get this little icon appearing out to the side. And if you click on that icon, you now get an editable.
We don't have a screen share, Dave.
You're not sharing.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
No problem.
Excuse me. I took that off when we were just talking there. I apologize. There we go. Let me go back into that again. If you play.
By learning our finger numbers. So if you can hold up your hands with me, our thumbs are our 1s fingers, then 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. Let me mix it up a little bit. 1s, 3s, 5s, 2s, 4s.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready.
There were a couple of errors there. I can edit those by just clicking on this little pencil icon, and I get an editable version of this caption. This was, instead of once, was 1s, comma, 3s, comma, 5s, comma, what was that? Back up a little bit and see.
Number 2.
4s, Okay, we're ready. We're going to start by finding the triplets on the piano.
That was 4s. And I think that was 2s. So I can edit the caption and then save the edit. And then when I finish all that, I can go back, and I got to that a little differently. There we go. Here's the screen for that video, before the actual video, and here's the shareable link. I can copy that shareable link to my clipboard. Then I can go to the, and thank you for letting me know I wasn't sharing my screen there. I can go to the training course. I can go to the modules, to activity 2.7. I just go down to the reply button down here at the bottom of all this instructional material right there. I click on that reply button. I get a rich content editor window, and I just paste that URL into a post. If I like, I can add some text like, here's my video, but I don't have to. All they're interested in, the graders, is this link. And then you click post reply. I'm not going to do that because I'd mess up the discussion forum, and I'm not in the course. But that's all you have to do, and then hit post reply. And that's all there is to satisfying that activity, is to fire up Zoom, and I'm going to stop my share, and I swear I'll remember to turn it back on again if I need to show you something.
Okay.
So you just do that Zoom recording, go to the Zoom website, edit the captions. Again, keep it to a minute or two at the outside so that you don't have to make a career out of editing the captions. Then get that shareable link and go and paste it into the reply box on that discussion topic. That activity is actually a discussion. It's not an assignment. And just paste that in and post the reply, and you are done. And that can be done in less than 5 minutes.
So it doesn't have to be from Zoom to YouTube if Zoom is doing the closed captioning?
Zoom to the Zoom cloud is fine.
Okay, because the instructions made it seem like you had to put it in.
I know they do.
Maybe I should put in the, like in the instructions, say this was done through Zoom and tell.
They're redoing that. They refresh that course every year, and they're working on that sort of thing right now.
It took me 2 weeks to do that.
Yes, Christy.
It took me 2 weeks to do that because I didn't understand. And then the 2 minutes you just explained it? Now I understand.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry that the 2 weeks happened. Let me just say one thing. If you get stuck on that course, one of the recurring sessions I'm doing on Zoom is orientation to that course. I've been grading and doing stuff in that course for 10 years now. If you have a question about an assignment, if you're getting hung up, if something's not working, email me and I'll help you. There's no reason you should go around in circles for 2 weeks. And I know you're by no means the only one who's had that happen to them. Don't feel bad about that.
Thank you.
Please get in touch with me. I don't want you to be frustrated by that, because those things, none of those assignments is designed to take more than about 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
It's taken me a whole
I
month.
say
It took weeks.
design,
It took
but-
weeks.
But it doesn't always work out that way. We know that.
Yeah.
So when you have questions, please ask ask a question, and you're welcome to ask it of me. Or you can you can go to your inbox tool in Canvas and you can send the question to all of the instructors in the course, which is probably a better idea because I'll see it and everybody else will too. And you should get faster service. Somebody should see it. Whoever sees it first should answer you. But I'll be happy to answer you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm in another meeting, so sorry. That was that noise over there. Bye. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that. Take care.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Kathy. Yes. Do we have another question about adding video?
Well, yes. I want to know. Well, it's kind of related, not really, actually, but I want to know if you're in a Zoom meeting, how does that satisfy the disability of people with disability? Because there's no closed captioned until
afterwards, until the recording. And that's a very good question. And it does have to do with adding video to your Canvas course. By the time it gets to your Canvas course, you're okay because it's captioned. But during the live session, it is not. And that can be a problem if you have a hearing impaired student in your course. And right now, I wish I had a better solution for you. But right now, your hearing impaired student may have to wait for the recording and view the session and then ask you questions asynchronously later. And there's just not much we can do about that.
Okay.
CCC Confer, the state video conferencing organ, the people who provide the Confer Zoom accounts, used to have a service whereby you could arrange, as long as you let them know 5 days in advance, you could have a live captioner in your meeting who would caption things in real time, like a court reporter. As you can imagine, that service is not cheap. And when everybody went online, they immediately burned through all the money they had for that.
Right.
And they no longer offer that service right now. So that is no longer an option.
So how long does it take from, like, say I do a Zoom recording of my synchronous Zoom meeting with my students from 10 to 11 this morning, how long does it take to get captioned in Zoom?
It depends on how long the session is.
An hour.
And there's no hard and fast rule. The answer is it takes however long it takes, and you never know exactly how long. Usually it will happen the same day. Not always. Sometimes it's the next day before the captions are ready.
So if I put, say this would be ready to view with captions within 24 hours, I would be safe, usually.
Usually, but not guaranteed.
Right, okay.
That's an excellent question. Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you.
And I wish there are automated ways to make that happen. There's actually a tool called Otter that integrates with Zoom and will provide pretty accurate speech recognition captions in real time. But as you can imagine, that ain't free. And that is not something that CCC Confer has been able to add to our Zoom accounts yet. I don't know if they're in the process of considering it or whatever. The technology exists to do it. It's just a matter of whether or not it can be done, or whether it's economically feasible for an organization the size of the CCCs. I will say that I have heard, though I haven't tried it myself, I have heard that the new Google Hangouts, I think they call it Google Meets now, does offer real-time captioning for free. So if I had a sticky problem, I'd try that. If I had an aggressive hearing impaired student, I'd try that. I haven't actually tried it myself. That's something I Google Meets, MEETS.
And that's like a Zoom.
It's like Zoom. It's not as good as Zoom in other ways. And I don't know what the limitations are in terms of number of attendees or other limitations. I need to find that out. But I'd try it if it got to be a serious issue. Just trying to give you some kind of way to proceed.
Thank you so much. I got to.
My pleasure. Any other questions about adding video? I haven't forgotten you, Yusra.
Thank you.
So, Dave, I have a question. Are we done with adding video? I just want to add a link using content selector. I'm not sure where you get the, like I already typed up some content for 6.4, but then I don't know, I don't understand where I'm supposed to get links.
6.4 activity.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, I'm just going to take this one real quick, and then you're next, Yusra. I promise you.
Thank you.
Because I think we're past that now, past adding video. Though if you think of something about video, I'll take that too. But let me go to that course and refresh my memory on what 6.4 is. I don't grade in there every day, so I forget it sometimes. For that matter, I sometimes forget what I had for breakfast. Modules 6.4. Yes, create a content page. What you're asked to do here is go to your practice course. Like those.
Can you share the screen, Dave?
Oops, thank you.
You're welcome.
I knew I'd forget that. Thank you. Oh, keep me straight. Thank God. That's a full-time job. Okay, here we are. It's assignment 6.4. You're asked to create a content page in Canvas. But you can't do that in the training course because you're a student in there. You don't have that permission. So you have to go to your practice course, your D shell. And let me just pull up one of my practice courses that I can, because I don't want to create something new in the training course and mess them up. I'll just go to one of my sandbox courses here. Imagine this is your training shell, your practice shell. You go to pages, or better yet, you go to the modules tool.
I'm not seeing your screen share.
Uh-oh.
Am I the only one that's not seeing it?
I'm sharing my screen now.
Oh, no, the screen share is maybe, Sharon, you just need to reconfigure your picture.
Oh.
Right. If you look at the bottom of your screen, your taskbar, you should see a little Zoom icon. It's a little camera in a blue square. If you click on that, you should see my screen share in a little window. If you click on that, it should pop back up for you.
Okay, found it.
Good, good. Okay, now, so to make a page in your module that you've created, or to edit a page, like here's a page I've got already. To edit that page, I just click on the link to it, because you've already created this in that dummy module you made, right?
Right.
And you go to edit, and you actually add something to the page. I've got a little bit of something in here, but you know, you can type stuff. And you can put in pictures, all the usual stuff you can do with Canvas pages.
But Okay, so what my question, oh, so you get
know how to do this then.
Well, I did the content, like I was able to type in there, but
good.
I didn't know like how I
How do you report that?
So if I want to, because they're also saying, let's see, add one link using the content selector. So
this is the link. Oh, the content selector. That's this over here.
Oh, okay. So
this is these links are links to material inside Canvas, and that's called the content selector. If you're linking to stuff outside Canvas, you use the link to URL button.
So in this assignment, we have to pull from the right.
Pull from the right. So you can link to pages, assignments, quizzes, announcements, discussion forums, modules, or course navigation. What they suggest in this case is to link to the syllabus that you created in the syllabus tool.
I was going to do that, but it looks like 6.6, they were going to ask for the syllabus.
Oh, they haven't asked for it yet, right. Okay, in that event, I just linked to what have you created in that practice course to this point?
Well, I've done the whole outline, like you said, like it's showing right there.
Right. But you've also actually created a module, have you not?
Yes.
Okay, you can go to modules here in the content selector, and that module that you've created will show up here.
Okay.
And you can just click on that module, and that creates a link to it at the position of the cursor in the in here. So all you got to do is put your cursor down below whatever else you've done in that page, and link to, go over here, make sure you're in the links tab, which is the default, and drop down and open the modules and just pick the module that you've done.
So is there actually supposed to be information in there where you wrote getting started? When someone clicks on that, there's going to be like paragraphs?
Well, you've created your that shell of that module, right, already?
Well, I think mine's just like an outline. I don't have any specific, like I didn't write in. Yeah, mine's more of an outline.
Let me see. Let me go back to just for a second to the modules here. Yeah, it should be something that actually has, let's see. It should be something that actually has content in it, yeah. Let's see. I've got to go back to the training course and look and see what you're supposed to have done up to that point. There it is. I wish I could remember. Let's see, modules. Module 6. Create a module. Yeah, you have. It is just a shell of a module, an outline of a module, but there's a module there. And when you go to your modules tool, you should see a module in there. So that will work.
Okay.
Because you've created, in 6.3, you've created the module. Even though you've just created some headers, really, some blank pages and so on. That's fine.
Oh, that's all they need for that?
That's all they need. They just want to see that you know how to create a link to that in the content.
Good. Okay, perfect. And then, but I was going to ask you, so I think I can get past this one. And then when we do have like, ask you for questions and stuff, are you able to actually go in and look at ours and our specific one and see if we're missing things or no?
Yes.
Okay, good to know.
Okay. Now, Yusra, I am sorry I've kept you waiting.
Thank you.
It's your turn. How can I help? Uh-oh. Bless her heart. She just got kicked out.
Oh, no.
I am so sorry. Hopefully she'll come back in. In the interim, does anybody else have a question that I can help with?
I'm gonna just start working on this because that's what I was been waiting for the whole class. So, but if we get,
I tell you what we are going to do. We're going to schedule some more. Watch the weekly emails from Mary Kingsley. We're going to schedule some more general question classes where you can come in and ask anything right away. And we'll watch for those coming. They're usually entitled Stump the Chump, and I'll leave it to your imagination why we call them that. But you're always welcome to email me with a question like that. Please don't, sit there. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I'm just working part-time, so I'm not as responsive as I used to be when I was fully.
I learned a lot for this session, which will help me in the next group. But I don't think I'm on Mary's emails because I have to get, I get this information from other friend teachers.
Right.
So I'll have to get on her email.
Yeah, I would send her an email. It's just M. Kingsley, MKINGSLE.
Okay.
No Y. At sdccd.edu, and ask to be put on that list.
Okay.
For sure, you need to get that. Or anytime you have a question about what's coming up, just email me and I'll send you the schedule.
Okay. Perfect.
I'm happy to do that.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Dave,
Yes,
just quickly. Okay, someone mentioned that, I haven't even signed up to take the Canvas course yet. And so it's a certain time period. You can't just go in and start on your own. You have to start at a designated time. Is that right?
Generally not. The situation we're in right now is that we're at the 17th of June. And this year's cohort ends on June 30th. There's no way that doesn't involve personal torture to get this course done between now and the end of June. So what you need to do at this point is sign up for the next cohort, which starts on July 1.
July 1, okay.
Then you can start working in it. You actually, anytime, I think tomorrow they're going to start taking requests for signups for the June or July 1st opening. You can.
I don't even know how to sign up.
Okay, they will send out a link. Mary, among others, will send to all faculty, will send out a link to the sign-up form. If for any reason you don't receive that tomorrow, email me. I should also I don't have that link right now.
Okay.
Because I'm not involved in that, but I'll get it tomorrow, presumably as well.
Okay.
And if you email me, I'll send it to you.
All right.
Then you sign up for the course, and at that point, they enroll you in the course, and you can start working anytime you like after July 1st. And you can
I can't even start working on it until July 1st.
Not on the new cohort. That course is not, they're still working on it. It won't be ready till July 1. But there is a workaround if you want to. You can sign up for this year's cohort. There's no likelihood of you finishing it by June 30th. And that means that anything you do this time, you'll have to redo in July But if the reading that you do, which is what takes most of the time, and so on, will transfer. The new course is not going to be radically different from the old one, okay, or even significantly different. The reading that you do, you will have already done. If you submit anything, be sure to keep a copy of it. Like if you submit an icebreaker discussion post, fine, just copy and paste it into a Word document and keep it. And then when you get into the into the new cohorts course, you can just paste that in real quick and you finish that assignment in 30 seconds. And if you do, like the first assignment, actual assignment in the training course is to do things like change your password and load a profile image and things like that. Well, you've already done that. You can just signify that you've done that and move on. So you can start working on it as soon as you're enrolled. Oh, wait a minute. What am I saying? I believe they've cut off enrollments today. Darn it. If you really want to get started, email me and I'll put you in there.
Okay.
It's no big deal. And
Okay,
I'll put you in, and you can get started working over the next roughly 2 weeks, not quite 2 weeks, but you can get a lot done. You could get a lot done in that time, and just keep a copy of everything so that when you have to redo it in July, it'll only take you a few minutes each time.
Okay.
Like that video assignment that people were talking about was taking them forever. You could do that, and you'd have everything ready to submit, and you'd know what to do because you had access to the current course. So if you want to do that, email me, and I will load you in there quietly.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I need a lot of repetition, so it'll probably be good.
Well, yeah, and then doing it a second time would only be instructive. That's right. But no, you won't lose much time that way, and you can have a bunch of assignments out of the way before you ever, especially if you have time over the next week or a week and a half or so to work. You could get a lot done that would save you time later on in July that you probably need to work on your own courses. So I'll help out if you decide you want to do that.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to email you. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Right. I'll be looking for it. And Vicki, welcome. Good to see you.
I had to leave for a while because I had guys whacking my weeds in the front. So I was hoping you would still be here after I got done with those guys. There's a question that came up with me and a friend I was helping yesterday. She was working on the 6.5, I think it is. The one where you have to make a home page.
Right.
And we were having trouble with that, like big trouble. We couldn't figure out what to do. And I watched the video.
Let me go into one of my little sandboxes here where I can do something.
Okay.
All right, let me ask you this. Were you having trouble creating the page, or were you having trouble making it the home page, the opening page?
Yeah, we were having trouble with everything. I just had her go ahead and make a welcome page, or, like you have a get started, whatever, and not necessarily anything in it, but we were having trouble just getting it to be the home page. And then I watched your video on how to create a home page, and also I watched the videos in the course. And I don't know. I know you like this course, but I'm telling you, I think it's very, very confusing. I do not think it's very straightforward, but never mind.
It is complex in places, and no doubt about it. Well, and unfortunately, the activity you're talking about, taking a page in Canvas and making it the opening page in the course, is one of the least intuitive things that I've ever seen in Canvas.
Well, we
To a
got,
certain
we
extent,
finally,
this is a Canvas problem.
we made a page. We decided, okay, this is going to be the page. And then we tried to get it to be the front page. But every time we went to anywhere, the front page part, little line was grayed out every time. So then I read that you have to have it published first. So we published it first.
Right.
And then we went back and I finally figured out where's the place to do this front page thing. So now what we need to do is actually make it into a home page. So that's another step, right?
Right. That's the problem. It's a two-step process, and it seems like you should have already done it, and yet it still doesn't work. So what you can do, let me go to a different course here. This one already has an opening page set. I want to show you how to do this from scratch. Okay, by default, when you enter a Canvas course, you go to the modules tool. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. A lot of people use the modules tool as the opening page in the course. But a lot of people like to have a more welcoming looking page to be the first thing the students see when they enter the course. To do that, of course, as you said, you have to create a page. And you apparently you have gotten to the point where you've created that page and you have, so you've been able to find your page that you want to use as your opening page in your list of pages in your course.
Right.
And you have set one of them as the front page.
Right. Yeah, finally, finally, we managed to get it to actually say this is the front page.
You do that, of course, by finding the page you want to use. Like maybe I want to use this before I get started page as my opening page. Before you try to make it the home page, you have to come into your Pages tool in the course menu and view all pages so that you see all of the pages that are resident in your course.
Right.
You find the page you want to use as your opening page, and you go out along this detail line here to the context menu on the far right, and you click on that little menu button.
Right.
And there's an option to use as front page.
Yes.
And you got that done, right?
I got that done, but it took forever because we couldn't get it selected because I didn't see anywhere where it said you have to publish the page first. So finally, I got that part. So yes, I'm okay.
Right.
Now
it does have to be published, indeed, which you can, of course, because if I try to make this, that's grayed out.
Yeah,
if the
it's
page,
always grayed out.
That's
yeah.
Okay. All right. That's one issue. But you have this front page set now, right?
Yep.
But maybe when you click home, it still doesn't come up. That's because there's a second place where you have to choose the home page. Don't ask me why they do it this way. This is the least intuitive. The first time I did this, it took me, I've been an LMS administrator for over 20 years. And the first time I did this, it took me a half an hour to figure it out.
Well, it took us longer than that, I can tell you.
But it's what I'm saying. I've been doing this professionally for 20 some years, and it took me a half an hour, okay, as an administrator of a learning management system, and it took me a half an hour to figure it out. So I'm not too impressed with Canvas's interface in this particular instance. Also, I exercised my vocabulary for much of that time. I'm lucky I didn't have a stroke. So I empathize. But in addition to setting that page to the home page, which should do it, you'd think that would do it, you have to go as well to the home link in your course menu in Canvas. And then go over here to the task menu on the right, and there's a choose home page button.
Right.
And when I first saw that, my comment was, I thought I blankety blank already did that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you feel the same way. So if you click choose home page, Canvas has 5 options. This shouldn't say choose home page. It should say choose course entry point, which is the first thing students see. And that would make it a little less confusing. Nobody listens to me anymore. I'm too old. But the default option for that is to show the course modules. That's not a bad default, because if the students can get to the modules, they can take the course. So that's a fail on. It works, even if you don't change it. But the another option is the front page set in pages. And if you select that option, and save it, now when someone clicks on home or enters the course for the first time, they see the page that you have designated as the front page in your Pages tool.
Okay.
Why do you have to do it that way? I don't know. The programmers, I think, painted themselves into a corner with an earlier feature, and without doing a tremendous amount of reprogramming, they couldn't really make this work smoothly. So they just put a Band-Aid on it and used a very counterintuitive process to allow you to make this work, or required a very counterintuitive process. And you are by no means first person to have that question. And that's something I try to cover in my content creation in Canvas courses. But
well, I don't know if I didn't see it. I'm in almost all of your classes, at least every one I can be in, because I always learn something, but I didn't remember that.
Absolutely has to be done, so I don't always cover it. But it is something that's part of the certification course. So anyway, that's how you do it. And that will take care of it.
Another question is, does it have to be in a module?
No.
Okay.
The opening page does not have to be linked into a module.
Okay.
Indeed, there's usually no particular point in linking it into a module, because it comes up, it's the first thing the students see. So they don't have to click on it in a module to see it.
But it can be in a module?
It can.
Okay, all right. That was the only other thing I was gonna go over with her. Boy, that's confusing, and I don't see any explanation in there that gets you to that point. I have no idea.
I remember the video that's in that. I do have, you're right, I think I do have a opening page video in here. Let me see.
Well, you have a home page video for sure, because I found that.
Oops.
But I didn't find the open page, the opening page. Yeah, that's the one I watched. Yeah.
Let me look at that, because that information should be in there. Let me see.
It was good. It got me somewhere.
Yep. You can select pages front. Yep. There's that. Yeah, that is in there. So just wanted to make sure.
But I don't remember if it covered how to get the open page, the opening page.
There it is right there. Yeah, that shows how to select a page as the front page.
Right.
And then here it shows how to pick that as the entry point for the course.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that I had not forgotten to put that in.
Okay, I'm gonna look at it again because I'm
Okay.
curious.
That one at least is fairly short. It's about
It's
2.5
very
minutes.
short. It's short, but it was necessary to even move ahead.
Yeah, indeed. And I've thrown my 2 cents in on that. The point where you're being held back because you haven't finished the item before.
Uh-huh.
I expressed, I've had lots of people give me feedback on that. Most of them were gritting their teeth while they were doing it. And that is a design decision on the part of the course authors,
Yeah.
which I was not. I'll just mention I was not one, except I did write one of the questions. But there is some pedagogical justification for forcing people in the lockstep like that, but it generates a tremendous amount of frustration on the part of the students.
Uh-huh, yeah.
I personally question whether that's worth it or not. So I threw my 2 cents into that discussion. I don't know what will come of that, but I empathize with what you're saying. And I wouldn't like it either, because maybe I want to come back to that one because I'm having trouble with it, but I want to go ahead and have some success in some of the others. And their argument was, well, you know, there's some of these things where you have to finish them. You have to finish certain things before you can do some of the stuff later on.
Uh-huh.
So they're forcing people into lockstep. But there are other things that you could have done later on that did not absolutely require you to have finished 6.4 before you move on.
Uh-huh.
And particularly like that video problem, the video assignment. That one, you know, that's kind of a standalone assignment. And the argument was, well, people are just putting that off to the end. Well, fine, as long as they get it done before the end of the course. That's the main
thing.
There's nothing else that depends on it later on, so why not let them skip over it? Anyway, I have voiced my opinion. We'll see what happens.
Okay, well, I'm glad others have been a little bit...
Oh, you are by no means alone in being frustrated with being held back because you were having trouble with one, but you know, maybe the next 2 or 3 you were fine with. You could have finished those while you were waiting on help on the previous one, rather than just being stranded. I just don't see them.
And this is for my friends, right? This is not me. I haven't even gotten anywhere near that. And I don't think I'm going to be able to manage until the next session because I just don't have the time now.
Oh,
but
I understand.
I thought, well, I'll help her because that'll help me.
I hear you. You'll know it next time. And anything you have done in the course that you've submitted, keep a copy of it.
Right.
Because the new course is basically going to be very similar to the old one.
Right.
And so anything you've done up to that, even if you have to start over again, you can just run through stuff that you've already done very quickly if you have copies of it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so copies of everything.
That sounds reasonable.
It's really not going to cost you much time having to start over in July.
Well, at least I said, well, yeah, sure. She says, can I hire you to help me with this? I go, I haven't even done it yet. You want me to help you?
Hey, I can always use a little extra money, right?
So I said, okay, I'll come over and try to help you. So
bless your heart. You've become a consultant. The pro from Dover.
I said, I know a whole lot more than I did in March because I've listened to a million of these webinars with Dave. I said, he's the lifesaver. I thought I was going to kill myself in March. So it was terrible.
We were all wondering how long we were going to live in March, I tell you. Good Lord.
You know, I didn't get an assignment for the summer, so I have a little more time in July than I've had any other time too.
So you can you can take the certification course in July and get that out of the way.
Yeah, and should be able to get it. Yeah, otherwise I'm not going to get a job for fall. So that's the way they put it, you know? No certificate, no job.
We don't have any flexibility on that. The Title V requires everybody demonstrably trained.
Yeah.
Before they teach fully online. They waive that requirement for temporary remote instruction in spring term because it was, you know, we had 2 weeks to get ready.
Yeah.
There was no way they could have forced everyone to get trained in that time.
No.
And we just offered a lot of Zoom seminars to try to give you the information you needed.
Right.
But when we go to fall, those are designated fully online courses. And Title V says you have to be certified to teach online to get an assignment to do that. And the deans have no flexibility with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
They have to comply with that. It's a state regulation. So we're just doing everything we can to get people through that training course as quickly as possible.
Well, I'm going to do my best, but thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I knew that whether we had to do, we could have a page and we're okay with that. And we don't have to have a module, but it's okay if we have a module. And so that sounds okay. What she created now last night and this morning looks fine to me. So we'll see. The problem is that so many things haven't been corrected. So she really doesn't know where she is. You know, you keep going.
Grading staff are just totally overwhelmed right now. They've just, as of June 1st, they added about 5 or 6 new people grading.
Yeah.
So they are catching up, but there are 1,020 some odd enrollment course right now.
Right.
And the total grading staff is like 7 or 8 people.
Right. Well, good luck with all that.
Thank you. But you're okay, you know, as long as you get your assignments submitted, you're okay.
Yeah.
And you'd have a chance later to, if you need to correct some to get up over the threshold of 90%, you'll have an opportunity to correct that and so on. You'll be fine.
And I assume that they're not going to be caught up by the end of June, right?
I cannot imagine that they will be, no.
Okay.
So that course will, for the people who are already in it, that course will remain open until such time as they've graded everything.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll let her all know all of that.
Yeah, if she's submitted everything, she's home free. You'll have a chance to finish up in that course.
Right. Yeah. Okie dokie. Thank you so much.
You bet, Vicki. Good to see you.
All righty. We'll see you probably next week.
I hope so. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.